Overall, I really liked the show. I would say for anyone who's into music, I would definitely recommend it. I thought they had just the right amount of drama and reality TV and actual music production because some shows they come on there and it's either all drama or it's all technical and then you get bored if it's all technical, but then you're exhausted if it's all drama. Like, I want to see something. So I thought for a first season of a show, this was a really good show. I think it's so interesting how, at the same time as I decide I'm finally going to start my podcast and video series on music production, songwriting, and all of that, that there happens to be a show that's coming out on Netflix around the same time, and it's called Hitmakers. Just to let you know, this is not going to be a play-by-play type of video. If you're looking to know every single detail as it happened, one after the other, this is not the video for you. I binge watched the series and I felt like if I had to do a play by play, I would have to rewatch it. And I don't feel like doing that. So to give you an overview, the show is about bringing together some of the top songwriters and producers who have written hit songs for a bunch of people we know, Ariana Grande, John Legend, etc., etc. And they all come together in an exotic location, which is called a songwriter retreat. And apparently these are very common in the industry. You have all these people there, all these different personalities. They're divided up into groups. Of course, in each group, you're going to want to have a songwriter and a producer at the very least. And then some people double up on roles in those groups. What I thought was so interesting was seeing how different people's personalities meshed so well together, just off the bat, off the start, while other people didn't really work well together. It was Jenna and Whitney that had somewhat of an issue or tension, or at least that's how it was cut to seem like. There was a point where Jenna and Whitney, two of the songwriters, had a conversation with each other over lunch, and Seven, another songwriter, was there with them. And she brought up the fact that in the music industry, women are often pit against each other, which is so crazy because this is basically what happens, I think, in a lot of different industries, especially if they're male dominated. So hearing that happens in the music industry too, I was like, wow, I mean, that's really unfortunate. But what I did like was that these ladies came together and were able to talk it through. And whether or not they're going to be best friends or work on all kinds of projects together later on, at least they know that they're able to communicate with each other, and that if there ever is a point where they have to work together again, it's not going to be, hopefully, so much tension in that. One thing I thought was interesting from the perspective of a self-taught songwriter watching these professionals do their work was the quickness with which they came up with those songs, like in those short period of time in one day, to sit down and really just come up with basically a whole song. Like, that was crazy to me. I've only been able to do that maybe once or twice in one day, come up with a whole song. But then again, I have to think about how they had that collaboration aspect, whereas I'm sitting down and trying to do it all by myself. The engineering, the composing, the production, and the lyrics all by myself. So it's really cool to see what would happen if I were to become part of a group like that and collaborate more with other artists, what you can get done and how cool the songs come out too, just from having all those different ideas mixed in with each other. Another part of that collaboration too was seeing how different people's egos kind of get in the way or show up when they're trying to work together, which of course that's life no matter what career. But you can tell that all of the songwriters really wanted to show like, hey, this is what I do. This is what I'm good at. And just wanted to put their best foot forward, and the producers too. And so each person like came with, that in mind. I want to talk about all the relationships that were in the show, which I thought was cool that every single person had a different angle on a relationship. You had the people who were dating and had just broken up with their partners. You have people who are married on there. You have people who are dating and living together. You have people who are out there just living their best single life. Whitney is someone who came into the show having a boyfriend, and somewhere in between Mexico and Nashville and wherever else they went, she ended up breaking up with her boyfriend, which was kind of a surprise because it seemed like at the beginning they were solid. She was talking about how it was so, he was very sweet and, she was in a good place with him. And then all of a sudden, boom, they were broken up. But all of the things she talked about make complete sense. She's an artist. She's on the road all the time. And that's really difficult for someone who, especially if they're in one place or expecting you to kind of live the same lifestyle they are, or more of a settled down traditional lifestyle, to be able to go along with the things that you need as well. I really feel for Whitney, and I'm grateful that she was able to share her story. And I hope that she finds that right person for her, because being a woman who's on top of her business and prioritizes the things, her goals in her life, isn't not always easy. So I really like that she shared that with us. Stephen and Jenna were the couple that were dating and had just bought a house together in Nashville. They said that they were renovating the house and they hadn't really spent that much time in the house, but they did at some point have all of the other songwriters and producers over for dinner. So in the middle of the dinner, Jenna is talking a lot about the house. She's talking about all of the things they've been doing and working on and renovating. And then Stephen at some point just tells her next song mid-sentence, and everyone just opens their eyes really wide and looks around at each other. Even though I can't speak to what their relationship is like and what their dynamic is like, what I can say is I love to see all of the other men come together and have a real conversation. Obviously, it's not a relationship show, but I do like the fact that Harv talked about the fact that he's married and his wife is a musician and what it's like being married to someone in the industry and their dynamic too, and giving us little glimpses of that. And one of the things Harv mentioned is that sometimes each person wants to be a leader because they really are in their own right, and it's striking that balance between the two people in a relationship. And I love that, because no matter what industry you're in, honestly, that's super important for any relationship to work. So it was good to see him share that with other members of the group too. Let's talk about Trey. He came on the show having just gone through a breakup, but he was right there in those studio sessions with everyone, coming up with lines, like really giving himself to the creative process. And so I believe that when you go through something and you put it in the music, it can make it better. I found it kind of weird that some of the people there thought that that was a disadvantage for him. I do understand in the sense of, like, if you're emotional and you're crying and you're not working on the project, then yes, that could be taking away from your work. But it didn't seem like that. It seemed like, hey, he just had to take a minute, do what he had to do, and then he came back and got right back to work. And so I really respect the vulnerability that he showed, because at the end of the day, we're all human. It's real life. I mean, I've been there myself too, where you just have to get up and do what you have to do, even though you're going through these emotions, and you step aside for a second, deal with it, and then come back and literally get back to what you have to do. One thing I also liked was the crossover in musical genres that they did. Even though some people are stronger in R&B, other people are a little bit stronger in hip hop, other people might be known for country, every single person still dabbled in other genres and actually were able to create really cool songs. The week where they were doing country music was actually one of my favorite weeks, just to see everybody kind of get out of their comfort zones and get creative and come up with something. Anyone who's really into music, I would definitely recommend the show. I want to see them come up with a second season, but what I think it would be really cool is if they did something in between what they did this season and the show Songland. I don't know if you guys remember that show. It came out a few years ago. I don't know if it was like pre-pandemic or during the pandemic, but it was another show about songwriting, but it was for amateurs or people, I wouldn't even say amateurs, I guess people who had been songwriters, but maybe not necessarily had a platform. And so they had to get in front of a panel of judges. And I believe John Legend was on that show and this show too. So he must be behind the scenes and really trying to support and encourage the songwriters out there. Shout out to John Legend. But I remember that show was more about amateurs pitching their songs. So what I would want to see, what I think would be super interesting, is if you had the professionals and the amateurs, not versus, but more like some of the other shows out there where it's more of a mentorship. And so maybe the amateurs we'll just say amateurs. So then maybe the amateurs are competing with each other, but they have the guidance of professional songwriters and producers to help them. That would be a show that I would definitely watch, just to see their development and see them grow. I know Songland did have a little bit of a mentorship aspect in there, But I don't know. I think it would be interesting to see amateurs do like the whole songwriting retreat, and have it be a reality TV show esque type of vibe, the way this one was, but with amateurs, if that makes sense. That's just in my mind. Either way, overall, I thought it was a good show. I would watch a second season of it, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you want to hear more about songwriting, producing, composing, which are all things that I do, and I'm on my journey of releasing my music for the first time this year, it's gonna happen. And if you want to be a part of that and kind of see it unfold for me, please subscribe, and I would love to catch you on the next one.